So just leading on nicely onto episode 6, which is called The Pack. Now this is a bit of an odd one and very Xander driven.
Yeah.
And Jessica, would you be able to sum up the episode? What it's about?
Yeah. So it starts with the crew at a trip to the zoo, the Sunnydale Zoo. They have a zoo, you know, and a group of 4 jerks start hassling Buffy, and then hassling another kid. They end up breaking into the closed hyena house, and there some kind of transference happens, and then they all start acting very strange, including Xander, who got lumped in trying to do a good thing.
Now that's a great sum up, and thank you very much for that. It's another Sunnydale Springfield thing, isn't it? Because this is the first time the zoo's mentioned or appeared.
Yeah.
And obviously we're super early into the whole show, but so we've got a zoo in it this time.
Yeah.
They'll keep adding things to make Sunnydale like as big as any city you could think of. But they'll keep calling it a small town. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I had thoughts of Lost Boys with this episode, with the kind of pack, and he was the kind of Kiefer Sutherland character. Initially, I thought they were going to go down a Jason Patrick thing where, although they kept him separate initially, didn't they? As a coyote in the library, as I remember.
Yeah,
that's
right.
So it kind of had like some parallels with Jason Patrick's character in Lost Boys, which I quite liked. But going from like the walking hard on that Xander is to something more like Jessica said about Angel in the previous episode, the brooding type. He kind of has that the mannerisms and the body language of what he wants to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
So there's some elements to this I quite enjoy. Sorry, David.
I was going to say he's actually Nicholas Brendan is quite a underappreciated actor.
Yeah.
I feel that his character as Xander, most of the time, he's just acting it so well to what he's being directed that you think he's stuck doing that. But whenever they give him an opportunity to do something else, he does pretty well, like including the body language, and everything about him will shift, and you can see it on screen. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. The confidence and all that, you know. Not that it's justified, but yeah.
I find he tends to hunch a little as Xander, kind of a little like goofy. And then when he got the possession happened, he straightened up. He was taller. It was really good. It was very a good change. Like he acted it really well.
Yeah, and that kind of like slinking around like a cat burglar or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was quite a nice episode, even just for that. There's a lot to take from that, and especially from one of the core characters. And did you notice that the signage around the zoo looked like Jurassic Park?
Yes.
And that hits a good chord with me. I was like, oh, this is nice. I like the influence.
Recycled sets.
But yeah, it is quite a strange. I'd almost say it's a monster of the week kind of. It felt like a little bit X-Files, this one.
Yeah.
And she even references it when Giles is not believing her, and she's like, "Don't scully me, Giles." I can't believe you're scullying me.
It, yeah. That's such a good tie-in, yeah. And it's so, oh my god. Oh, that's it. Yeah, you and anyone would try and scully me, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're scullying me.
And the walking on. I for some reason. Oh yeah. When the pack gets together, they're walking around in slow-mo as though it's a music video.
Yeah.
A long shot. Like it went on a long time.
I loved all the stuff at the school and sitting around and like pushing the principal around, and you see what happens with the principal. And we talked about this in the first episode.
Principal booty.
Yeah, that's Dave kept saying that.
R.I.P.
I thought it was really, really dark too. The idea of you hear about it in some schools or teenagers that physically attack teachers, and vice versa. You know, it's a terrible thing, but the idea of literally a pack of students, murdering or killing or tearing apart a principal is a horrific idea.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
And so I've got to say, some of the group stuff, the kind of pack animals, the way they behaved, I thought is beautifully done. Like the chap that's in Band of Brothers, he's kind of the number one in the group, not Xander. And the way he kind of I think it was him that walks across the dinner table outside, or the kitchen, barbecue table outside. I think it's the principal's school. And it was like completely dismissive, and Coyotes would do the same. The way they acted. So I've got to give props to the actors in this episode.
I found it interesting that first off, that group one is an entirely new group of bullies in Sunnydale that clearly everybody knows, but they had nothing to do with Cordelia's group. Completely separate from that. And then again, I don't think they ever reused them. But
no, never come back.
Which is too bad, because none of them die. They become unpossessed, but they were pretty good. They could have reused them later on.
Extreme PTSD from eating a human being.
Therapy forever, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for that little pig as well.
I know.
I have
I love it. That's great.
R.I.P.
So yeah, I put so much smoldering during the dodgeball.
That was the best line of the episode too. That dodgeball.
Yeah, it's
brutal.
This game is brutal. I love it.
So what there was, I've got a little. There's a really associate edit in this is when the principal's killed by hyenas. I think someone's watching footage of hyenas eating something.
Yeah.
Willow
is.
Right.
It's Willow, yeah.
But they're wild dogs. I think I saw that in one of the things she's watching. They're not hyenas. They're like wild dogs.
Well, I love that. Because I'm an editor by nature, by what I've done over the last, say, 15, 20 years. And I love it when you see like a shovel going into the ground, burying someone, and then it's a kid with ice cream, you know, so I kind of love that kind of edit.
They had the noises going too in the video. Like they did have hyena noises she was watching, so you could hear the giggles, and then they started laughing too, right? So it was kind of playing laughter, and then the hyena laughs as she's watching, right?
Yeah.
It's good.
And overall, I thought it was a relatively creepy episode with...
It was creepy.
Especially at the in the library when they're looking through the window. I actually jumped. I know that sounds ridiculous, because it felt like Jason Patric outside the window in Lost Boys, outside his brother's room. There's something super sinister about a creature or something outside your room or outside your bedroom window.
Yeah.
And those little windows, I thought, they can appear there, and they just like appeared, you know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and even going back to the dodgeball game, I thought when it started it was a little ridiculous, like they're all dodging back and forth and it looked silly, but then when they all stop and she's the only one on the side and they're all staring at her, it's actually pretty intimidating.
Yeah, no problem, don't worry.
We've lost Smudge.
Sorry.
That's all right, don't worry. But yeah, it is a real sinister moment. I've got to say props to those actors again, because, and like you're saying, David, they're like a kind of one-shot group, and I actually recognize, I think, 2 or 3 of them. One of them was been in a few horror films. The main chap in that group, he was in Band of Brothers. He was in
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, Californication as well. He's like a group speaker kind of. Guy, and he's a really good actor, so it was really nice to see that group, and they obviously worked so well because the script was really strong for them. I wasn't a huge fan of the episode overall, but I thought that group dynamic and how kind of dark it was, especially the principal stuff for me personally, because there's a scene in Candyman where I think it's the mental institution where what's her name? The actress's name? She's in Sideways. The main actress in Candyman, when she's taken to the mental institution's principal, he's killed in front of her by Candyman. So it kind of I'd watched that within a week of each other. It kind of really kind of freaked me out a little bit. So
The sad part of it, I think, was also that he was very, Principal Flutie was very antagonistic towards Buffy from the get-go because he saw her record. And then this episode, they had kind of a little touching moment where he's talking about in my day, and then he's like, but then, I heard the same thing from adults, when I was your age. And they had a nice little touching moment. And then it seemed like, she was finally going to get an authority figure on her side, and then they just off him, and then...
She can't. Is that happened in the episode with the mantis as well?
Yes, with the teacher.
Yeah. With the teacher, it's like she can't get a break.
Yeah, no,
other than Giles, they get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's a really good point. Based, as you say, David, based on that other episode, maybe that's a trait we can look out for. Right, they're gonna die. They've been nice to Buffy. They've been nice to each other.
Yeah, that's true.
They really like isolate her. I guess even with the last episode with Never Kill a Boy in a Fair State, they kind of explain why she can't bring anybody else into this life because it's such a danger. And now it's like, so they're really showing you how she's isolated in many ways.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
And that feeds in. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
It just makes it more interesting for me as Buffy as a character because of that ongoing sacrifice and the hero kind of thing. Sorry, Alex. Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just I was thinking a very similar thing where they kind of circled the wagons in their group, and I kind of like how well-rounded up they are, and obviously friends become closer. If you spend more time with a couple of friends, your group becomes really tight, and you don't want anyone else in that. And I think the writing kind of really shows that, and the dynamic is there because they're also like-minded in some ways. And in terms of, I think trust's a big one that they've got between them. And that's what I like about this. That's what I like about Whedon's writing, especially. And I've loved about all his work is that, like, you look at Firefly, you look at his other shows, they've all Dollhouse. They've always had a core group of people that banded together. And did I tell you that?
Point, Alex. Yeah, he's got a good kind of the family, whatever form it takes. But that's really interesting. Yeah.
I think it's my favorite thing about the show is.
Yeah.
That's why I was so like, who the hell's this Owen? Get out of my group. Get out of my group. Because it's so strong. But yeah. So what was your take about the episode, Jessica? Did you like it?
I think it was a classic. It was a good episode. I thought, it's not like the best, but I kind of like the idea, and like I feel like I read once that Joss Whedon took this show in terms of the Monsters of the Week as kind of like really blowing up problems that teenagers have in day-to-day life and then just like putting them through a crazy monster lens. So like the hierarchy in high schools, and like they prey on the weak and this mentality, and even they kind of jokingly reference that with Giles saying he's like, oh yeah, it's terrible, he's turned into a 16-year-old boy. That's what they prey on the weak. So I like that they're kind of like, yeah, this is bullying, this is high school, this is what happens, but to a much more extreme level to where we end up eating people alive. But
yeah,
I like that.
That's a good point.
Sorry, David, go
on. I really liked the moment with the zookeeper and Giles, which they don't have the zookeeper in later on, but they reveal that he was the reason that the coyotes possessed the people because of him trying to get power. But when they both start nerding out together, him and Giles, over their textbooks, and he asks him, where did you read that? And they just have this brief moment where the two of them sort of go off, and the kids have to remind them to stick to it, to the task at hand. It was such a funny little moment.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, because you only share, this might sound ridiculous, but you only have one mind, you're not connected to someone completely. when you find someone that's on the same level,
Yeah.
about the same thing, and you connect with a partner or whoever it is, you can go off on a tangent, and things
Yes.
can get forgotten so easily.
True.
Like when you talk about like we are now with Buffy, when I talk to someone about X-Files or John Carpenter or something, I go off a massive tangent and I end up forgetting what I need to do, you know. And I built one of my strongest friendships based on talking about Carpenter's films, and that we've known each other for 15 years now.
Oh, that's great.
So those little moments can happen where they go off on little tangents. And in a TV show, in a compressed manner, I think that represents that really well, when people kind of bond over a common ground, you know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you don't see that happen with Giles very often in the show, where he meets somebody that isn't a kid. So he doesn't have the opportunity to talk to someone that
he only associates with teenagers, though. Poor guy.
That's a really good point, because he's in the library on his own. That's why he's so rude to so many people, because he doesn't, you know, he's like the native on the island, and he's never seen anyone else apart from who he trusts, and anyone new comes in, he snaps.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you want? Are you a monster?
Yeah, I've got a book on this. That should be a T-shirt, Giles' face. I've got a book on this subject, or I've got a book on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Smudge or David, you've got the DVDs there. What's the episode we've got coming up? Episode 7 and 8?
I can't remember what episode 9 or 8 is, but I know episode 7 is Angel.
So where is it?
Ah, right, fantastic.
Is it on the back of that?
This one. Yeah, episode 7 is Angel, and then I, Robot, You, Jane.
Oh God,
That's gonna be a
it was like a great one, and then a.
Yeah, exactly. Although it's not bad. But yeah, the next one is a pretty pivotal moment in the series. So.
Oh, I can't even remember for sure. It's been a long time.
See, this is for me. I'm very patchy, and that's what I love about Jessica coming on board and Smudge and David. That it's just, you know, it's kind of, I come from this as a relative newbie, because I was watching probably reruns of Star Trek or something at this point. But yeah, it's great fun to continue this. I'm really looking forward to it. So I remember seeing the episode on the Amazon menu. So it's there's a relatively big reveal, so to speak, I bet.
I'm excited.
What's
I love that.
the body count for the pack?
Yeah.
Oh, so 2 humans, the principal and the zookeeper, who's Dr. Wyrick, and sadly one pig. 1 pig. 2 humans, 1 pig.
Wow.
No coyotes.
No. That I don't know, man. That hyena they showed in the zoo looked like it had been dead for a long time. So raggedy.
No vampires.
No vampires. Yeah.
No vampires this episode. Yeah, I think this is one of I read like one of out of the 6 episodes. This is one of 2 that didn't have vampires. This one and the witch, I think.
Oh, right.
Had no vampires in it. Other things I noticed, you were talking about, Smudge, you were talking about like language, and she says Xander's acting wiggy. I pointed that one out. He said he's been acting wiggies.
Yeah.
Like, no one says that anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I love how playful they are with language. It's really fun.
Constantly.
Yeah.
His team of writers.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah.
It's like that clever writing, but dated clever writing.
Yes.
So it's so much fun to continue that and see what's said next. And I don't know if you remember, Jessica, but I think it was the first episode. There's the name of a spell. There was a particular spell.
The
I'll find the notes.
Bloodstone? You said Bloodstone heart spell? No, blood heart.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember now. Bloodstone heart spell.
I was like, we have to keep tabs on that. And
This other thing we can keep track of, because I read that this was also a trend. Giles getting knocked out. So this is the second time in 6 episodes he's gotten knocked out. So he got knocked out in The Witch. Now number 2, so we can get a Giles knocked out.
No, third time. Third episode.
Is it 3? Oh.
He got knocked out in The Witch. He got knocked out in Never Kill a Boy. The other vampire knocked him out in the room. It shows him waking up at the same time that Owen is. In the ward.
Oh wow.
So this is actually the third time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great start.
He gets
Yeah.
knocked constantly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even
Unfortunately.
notice.
That's the only other note I had about this one is that I also found out this is one of Joss Whedon's top 10 episodes.
Really?
Not written by him. So one he had nothing to do with, because he has a top 10 list that he wrote, I guess, and directed. This is one of his favorites that he was not heavily involved in.
It's
So-
got to be a Xander thing, hasn't it? It has to be the kind of you see a completely different aspect of his character.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
like
it's
those episodes where they do that, where they focus on somebody else in the group and have it be like regular sort of problems. They do that throughout the series. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
yeah. I want to thank Smudge and Dave and now Jessica for. I'll continue to thank the three of you going forward, because when I watch this, it reminds me of this. It's not a melancholy, but it puts me in this really comforting place when I watch the show now, because it reminds me when I was 16, 17, something like that. I think it was that. Yeah, that's about right. And it puts me in this really kind of positive place when I watched it for the first time. And I get that sense, and I really enjoy the characters, and I really enjoy speaking to you guys about this now.
Oh, thanks. Same for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful revisit.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it means a lot to me, because I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched it many years after it came out. Well, I guess anyway, my late husband was really into it, and initially I wasn't sure about it, and then I got really into it with him. But anyway, it's a special thing for me as well.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I watched it when it aired, and it was a big social thing for me. And I had same thing. I had a little group of people then, and it's neat to be able to do that again. It's really fun.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
So what was because Jessica, what was your kind of, how did you kind of discover it the first time?
I was thinking about this and I can't remember. All I remember is my first memory of Buffy, because it started in 97, so I was only 11 when this started airing. And I don't think I watched it from the get-go, because I remember really wanting to watch it, and it was on TV, and I asked my mom to stop changing the channels, and it just so happened to be season 2 when she has sex with Angel for the first time, and I was like, oh, that there was sex on screen. My mom was in the room. So I don't know when, but I know I watched the later seasons live as they came out. Yeah. And I do also have really fond memories, because me and my friend used to call each other on the landline during commercial breaks and be like, oh my God, did you see that? And we would discuss, and then it's back. And we'd hang up the phone. So I know I watched the later ones live. Yeah. But I guess I must have caught reruns or bought the VHS or something to catch up to
Yeah, I never saw any live, and that's cool, you guys. And I've never seen, just so you know, Jessica, I've never seen the last episode. I've been waiting for something, and I think Alex is the segue to this whole thing is going to be my big reveal.
It's exciting because I had to remind myself, because there's a thing that happens in the last episode, and you guys were discussing the last time, like, I guess the reboot, like what Buffy, like what was coming. And I was going to mention like, oh, you know, it's going to be interesting to see where they go because of what happened. And I was like, oh, because like whether they're going to keep that up or not is, it'll be an interesting thing.
What happens in all the books and comics, because those are supposed to be canon to the series. They're supposed to be part of the official story. So I don't know if it'll be a complete reboot or if they'll take aspects from those and do the who knows.
My understanding is that it'll be following a different Slayer, because Sarah Michelle Gellar said she's not interested in coming back. I guess not in a main role, at least, because she wants it to be continued on. It's like, you know, her time has passed. It's time for a new generation to take it on. So I just don't know.
That'll be the greatest cameo in television.
Yeah.
If she
Oh my
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, Jessica. That'd be amazing.
But it's interesting because for that to happen, there have to be some continuity, and whether that's from the comics or from the last episode, because technically,
without spoilers.
Yeah, no, and I'm just like, I don't know how they would do that as a cameo unless she's not playing herself, if they're not, you know, if they're rebooting essentially or not. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they're going to do.
It's going to be really interesting, because does Fox still own it?
Disney owns it, doesn't it?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of Disneyfied it's going to be?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about
Nothing, not a lot.
I don't know anything about any details about it.
I just know that it's gonna follow another Slayer,
Which would be-
not continuing on with the original group. That's all I know.
So this has been another great episode, and Jessica, it's absolutely fantastic having you on board.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. huge fan of mine, so really
Well,
excited to be
And I'm gonna have like 2 stakes crossed here or something instead of all this blue. So I'm gonna figure out graphics. I'm gonna figure out graphics and the little thing between segue between the episodes and everything. And Jessica, if you're interested, would you like to do the intro, the voiceover intro?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So what I'll do is I'll send you over the music, and then we'll talk about that over the next kind of few weeks or something. But we'll work something out. And we've got the initial graphic you've all seen, and I'm quite fond of that. But it might kind of mature and go in a different direction slightly.
Well, that's okay.
That's totally cool.
But yeah, is there anything any of you guys like to plug?
Plug.
Not at the moment. Working on
on more songs, but yeah,
a ton of music, but nothing that's being released right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but thanks. I'll think about it. Yeah, thank you.
What we'll do is when and I'll ask Jessica the same in just a second. When we figure out the release pattern, because I thought this is going to be independent of the festival I'm part of, right? I founded, so it's going to be past that. So we're gonna do Jessica. We're gonna record, I think, all the episodes that cover the first season, and then figure out a release pattern from there. I think it's kind of just to have everything in our pocket and then work out what we want to do. And I figured out a way where we can have it on as Audible on Podbean, so it'll have an official on Spotify, iTunes, and everything. So that'll be good.
That's awesome.
And we'll also have a video version as well, which I need to make sure I'm not wearing a baseball cap. I'm not so kind of rushed.
That sounds perfect.
So Jessica, is there anything you'd like to plug or mention Michael's podcast or anything like that?
Yeah. So my husband has a podcast. It's called Talking with Our Mouths Full. I do the voiceovers for that, but otherwise not usually involved unless I'm a guest. But yeah, he basically they try new food places around Toronto and then talk to guests, kind of get exploring the diversity of Toronto and its people in the podcast. And then you can hear my voice at sometimes the beginning and always at the end of the episode. So, and then we've also been doing something with Live Long and Podcast where usually on the weekend, changes on the day, we do live reads of Star Trek scripts, which has been kind of fun. They're always very zany, and we always do ridiculous voices for every character.
Oh wow, that's awesome!
Like hearing Michael play female characters. I love the way that's done though. It's really, really kind of a clever way, and it's not just an obvious impression of a woman. It's kind of more than that. So I really like that podcast, and Talking with a Mouths Full. It is fantastic, and Michael's always eating in it.
Yeah.
And he, in episode 2 of season 2, he tries this hot food. I can't remember where it's from, but it's scorching his mouth. It's really scorching his mouth in the episode. So when you see someone that's had really hot food, like I love it, it's so funny in that episode. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that episode to everyone that's listening.
Fun.
Cool.